Okay, so in this video I want to talk about the planned Onimusha movie. Now, the Onimusha movie was going to be directed by Christophe Gans, and Christophe Gans first announced this in December 2006. Now, Christophe Gans is a massive gamer, and he worked on the Silent Hill movie. And the Silent Hill movie has kind of mixed views. Like, some people consider it to be one of the best video game adaptations ever, and then other people kind of have a hated kind of point of view on it. I myself actually really like the film. I like the art style for the film. I like the way that it's pretty faithful to the first game in the series. And I love the creature designs. They're very faithful to the game as well. I also love the fact that they included the music from the game. And also the locations in the movie are very similar to the game. You can really tell that Christophe Gans is a director. He really cares about the projects he works on, and he really has a lot of respect for the Silent Hill gaming franchise. I do remember in the extra feature of the Silent Hill movie, Christophe Gans mentioned that Silent Hill 2 was one of his favourite games of all time, and he said it was the one game that changed his life. And it's wonderful. The Onimusha movie had a director with this amount of care and this amount of love for a gaming franchise. So let's just look at the Onimusha movie, and let's look what we would have got from Christophe Gans Onimusha. Okay, so first off, Takeshi Kenshiro, who played Samanosuke in the Onimusha games, he was going to reprise his role for the live action movie. He voices the Japanese version of the game, and he does the motion cap, and he does the likeness of Samanosuke. So he's a major important character, and I think it's wonderful that the idea of the film actually bringing him back to reprise his role, and I think it was the first promising move they actually done for this movie. And the idea of really bringing back the actor, brought this character to life in the first place, to bring this character to a different audience, a cinematic audience. Also, interesting enough, Capcom was very much involved with this. I've done a bit of research, and I've noticed that quite a few Capcom producers were really involved with this movie, and it wasn't just the idea that the rights was taken by a Hollywood production. No, they were very much involved with it. They kind of had an idea of how the story would flow. So interesting enough, Keiji Inafune was the screenwriter for the film, and he came up with this story for the movie. And he himself is a massive Capcom producer. He's worked on Dead Rising, he's also worked on Mega Man, he's also worked, of course, on the Onimusha series. And it was great knowing that he was involved with the story. The story itself was going to be based on the first game, and it was going to have Samanosuke, and it was going to have Nobunaga, and of course it was going to have Princess Yuki, and the idea of Samanosuke trying to rescue her. And that was going to be the main concept of the story, and it was going to be very accurate to the first game. Also interesting enough was Mamoru Samurai was also a composer on the movie. And interesting enough, when a composer is announced, it's usually when the film is going into post-production rather than in pre-production. So they must have had a lot of faith in the idea of him coming back. And I do think that was more almost Christophe Gans' influence as well, because Christophe, he of course had the music from the games, the Silent Hill games, in, of course, the Silent Hill movie. And I think that's great, the idea that he felt that the live action experience wouldn't be the same without the gaming music. There was a few actors that was casted apart from Takeshi. And interesting enough, Satomi Ichihara was one of the actresses that was going to be in this film. And we don't know who she was going to play. But I believe that she was going to play Princess Yuki in this film. She would have been the same age as the character, and she looks remarkably like the character. So I think she would have played the character in the movie. Also, Nobunaga was also going to be in the movie, and I think it wasn't announced, but there was the other actor that was announced for the movie. I think he was going to play him. And that other actor was Toyuki Ihara. And he has a remarkable resemblance to the Nobunaga character. And I think he fit the right age group as well for the character. because Nobunaga, he ages in the game series. This would have been Nobunaga in his 40s or so, and I think he would have played that character. Also interesting enough, they had Hollywood kind of A-lister type actors in it. Emily DeBraven was going to be in the film as well, and she herself was pretty famous back then for playing a role in Lost. Very interesting enough, Heath Ledger was also offered a role in this film. Now, this definitely would have changed the dynamic of the story, because the first game, it didn't have any, American characters. But it's interesting, the idea that these two actors would be in it. And they would have been casted mainly because they wanted to appeal to a bigger audience. And in order to appeal to a bigger audience, you need more recognizable names, more recognizable faces, in order for this to really get a bigger marketing and get a bigger sense of distribution. So that was one of the reasons why these two actors were going to be in this film. Now, interesting enough, this film had a budget of 50 million, and it was going to be shot in China, and the shoot date was going to be in early 2008, and it had a release date of December 2009, and it was going to be shot in the same studio that shot in which Hero was filmed. And Hero was a Jet Li film released in 2002, and the crew would have consisted of Chinese and Japanese people. I think Christophe Gans is the perfect director for this, because he's got a very diverse style of directing, and he done a film that was manga based, and that film was called Crying Freeman. So he himself has done films with kind of this Asian feel to it, and he's also of course done video game adaptations, so he was definitely in his element for this film. And I think he would have done an incredible job with this movie, because he knows how to set up shots, he knows how to create a really visual experience, and he knows how to really shoot action. We've seen that with A Brotherhood of Wolves, we've seen that with Crying Freeman, we've seen him just create a lot of drama and a lot of tension with the idea of Silent Hill. So I think we really were going to be in for a treat. And knowing the idea that Capcom was involved heavily in the production, that they were involved heavily with the storyline, knowing that the Tetsuji Kenchiro was going to be coming back from Saminosuke, knowing that the game composer was going to come back as well, knowing that it wasn't going to be a computer Hollywood production, this would have been, I think, one of the best video game adaptations. But sadly, this did get canned. Why you're wondering why this got canned it was mainly because of Heath Ledger's death. As I mentioned, this was going to be filmed in early 2008, and of course, tragedy hit. That was when Heath Ledger died, and the film was pretty much stalled because of that. And they thought they were going to get back into production in June of 2008, but since then the film has been pretty much canned. It's been in development hell. And I think this is mainly because Heath Ledger was not going to be just a cameo. He wasn't going to be just a side character. He was very much going to be a supporting character. Almost, I think, even a secondary character. In that sense, I think we would have seen a very different story to what we've seen in the Onimusha games. Of course, they wanted to create a story that would appeal to the gamer fans, and of course a new group of fans. So it is kind of tragic that this film did get canned, because I had a lot of faith in Christophe Gans. I think when he's a very passionate filmmaker, and he's very much a gamer at heart, which is also wonderful, and he knows how to kind of replicate narratives that are already out there. So he would have been a wonderful director for this, and it's a shame that this film did get canned. As of now, I don't think this film will ever get back into production. The Onimusha series has really died down. The last game was released in 2006. They haven't actually re-released the original 3 games in HD form, which really would have actually opened up an audience. It really would have let the original audience experience these games in HD, and it's a shame because it kind of let the audience die down a little bit. Now, there has been rumours that they want to reboot the franchise, and this could be wonderful for the franchise, because a reboot really could bring the movie back. I'm just going to leave it at that, and I'm just going to ask you guys, what's your favorite Onimusha game, and what do you think of this overall production for the Onimusha movie? Do you think you would have enjoyed it? Do you think it would have been disastrous? I myself think it would have been one of the best video game adaptations, but really voice your opinion on what you think about this vision for the game. I'm just going to leave it at that. And if you like this video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you just, click a like to it. And if you like any of these other videos I've done another video, and it's based on George A. Romero's vision for Resident Evil. And I've done another video which is Guillermo del Toro's vision on the Hobbit movies. You should definitely check them out. I'm going to put a link on the description of this video. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to the channel if you like what you see.